Welcome to episode 17. I've just met up with some of the local enduro riders and we are just leaving the city of Shaoguan in southern China. Today we are heading to the Nanling mountain range at the border junction between the three provinces of Hunan, Jiangxi, and Guangdong. It'll be about 100 kilometers to the last village in Guangdong called Changjiang before we cross into Jiangxi. From there we should have another 20 kilometers up the mountain. I estimate it will take about 2 hours in total if we don't stop. And once we get into the mountains, there are supposed to be some breathtaking views. We are currently on the G23 heading east-northeast, and I'll use this as an opportunity to explain a little bit about how these roads work in China. So the G stands for Guodao, which translates to national road. However, I like to call them 亲爱的国道, which means beloved national road, but I'll get more into why later. Anyways, I would describe these national roads as basically one tier less than a highway, but one tier up from a normal street or county road. As for the numbers after the first capital G, they indicate the following. The first number, if it is a 1, it indicates that it is a national road to or from Beijing, the capital. If it is a 2, it means the road runs from north to south. And if it is a 3, it indicates that the road runs from east to west. The two number places following the first number just serve a sequential placeholder purpose. Now this might be a little bit confusing because the abbreviation for the highway is also a capital G, but that G stands for 高速公路, which translates to highway or expressway. The best way to distinguish the difference between the two is by the color of the signs. The highway signs will always be green and the national road signs will always be red. Also to note, the highways obviously have no traffic lights, whereas the national roads have less traffic lights than in cities, but still have a few in needed places like intersections or when entering towns. So now, by looking again at our red G323 sign, we know that this is a national road. It runs east to west and not to Beijing. However, now you might be thinking, well, why aren't you taking the highway? In most Chinese provinces, especially in the south, motorcycles are not allowed on the highway, regardless of engine size or classification. It's a flat-out ban. In fact, we might be better off referring to them as controlled access highways. Nevertheless, there are some exceptions, but 9 times out of 10, you will not be allowed on a highway in southern China on a motorcycle. So thus, we are taking the slower and I would argue more dangerous route. This is also why I mentioned about calling the Guodao, or national roads, the beloved national roads in a sarcastic way, as it's kind of a love-hate relationship with them. On the one hand, they provide an experience like no other, with being able to witness how real life is once you leave the bubble-like metropolises. But on the other hand, they are extremely dangerous and are guaranteed to have your heart in your throat before the end of your journey. What makes these national roads dangerous ultimately comes down to the following. First of all, due to the massive amounts of ground that they cover and the remote nature of them, that is, once outside the developed areas, there aren't really any traffic police to patrol them, so it's very much a free-for-all in terms of what type of traffic you will meet on them. You'll have everything from old Miss Wong on her 3-wheeled vegetable cart who pops out to cross the road without looking, to your local semi-truck driver barreling down the road over the speed limit and overloaded who then changes lanes without using any sort of directional. Furthermore, on the grounds of many of these transport trucks often being heavily overloaded, you will have things like bricks or pieces of wood or other fallen cargo or debris laying in the road. In addition, you will have stray animals like dogs and cats that roam the roads. When you get into the mountains, the turns on these roads can be very tight and abrupt, and very often people are either driving too fast because of a lack of speed cameras, or you have big trucks that have no choice but to use the other lane when making turns. That's why there is a specific question on the Chinese driver's test that makes you answer that you must beep your horn upon entering a corner in order to get full points on the test. So in short, it's absolutely not the type of road that you would cruise down while listening to music or chatting with someone over Bluetooth. You really must be 110% focused and assume that nobody is expecting you. And that is why I would say, in China, the horn is the next most important thing after your brakes.
麻烦加码这个95。
145.75元。自由舱加注95号汽油泵码已回零，请确认。
多加点呗。好，可以。
34哈，33.76。
对啊，我这个油箱小啊。
Now hold on a minute. We just passed a sign that was red and said G535. So what is that about? You've told me the G can only be followed by a 1, 2, or a 3, and now we've got a 5. So what are you on about? So it turns out there actually is an exception to the 1, 2, 3 national road rule. National roads starting with the number 5 are roads that have been introduced during the 2013 to 2030 road network expansion plan. So think of them as an afterthought. But anyways, after all this information, you'll either be an expert on national road classification or bored out of your mind. So in front of me we have the Cove 450 Rally, the same rally bike that I tested out in episode 16. Like the owner of that bike, this guy has also recently swapped out the ECU and exhaust system for the racing package. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've really been struggling to keep up with him here. However, we are nearly in Changjiang village now, and then from there it shouldn't be long before we're on dirt roads in the mountains. So those mountains off in the distance on our left side are all part of the Nanning mountain range. I really love driving through these types of remote villages. I find them more interesting than your cookie cutter skyscrapers that you find copy and pasted all over the huge cities.
So we've got a bit of a cave here.
Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we are going to be too lucky with the weather. After checking the weather forecast, it looks like we are driving straight into a rainstorm. The only hope now is that we can get above these rain clouds once we get high up into the mountains. So much for our hope of getting above the rain clouds, but nonetheless, we're going to keep on going and see what we can find. We have taken shelter here under these little steps above us, and going to try to wait out the rain here because we cannot see anything. At the top of the mountain here, the visibility is just absolutely abysmal. The rain has finally subsided here and we're getting ready to head out. 打滑，
我拉后，后面
往后1、
2，
哎，不行，要抬起来。好，对。来推一下，往前推。
推吧。
你给我捏前刹，
对你捏一下前刹。
好，可以了。
往哪边？我不知道哦。Wow, that's very beautiful. Gotta turn around here. Here we go, second attempt here.
Now, what are the odds of meeting oncoming traffic on a road like this?
Woo! Made it up. Woo! Problem is I can't see.
I think the GoPro actually sees better than me in this fog.
A bit of a landslide here. 从右边过会不会好一点呢？就慢慢推吧。There we go. It's fun.
哎，再往那边一点，这边踏板找到了，就再往那边倒一点。对，再来一点。好，过了。来1、2、3。
我看不到，我看不到。
你往左打一点，对，往左打一点。
这样行不行？
对，过来，再来，往左来。没事，倒那边不怕。小象你就别那么快嘛，先推。
对对，等一下，等一下。
你站在那边可以了，我在这。
对，我站这边好一点。
这边找到了，走。
等会儿我把这个挖出来。现在可能好了，试一下。
我来了。
哇！哎，
没事。
哎呀，主要是我站不稳了。好，等会儿我把这些。
At this point, we were really hoping that this road would lead us off the mountain, but unfortunately, it just led us to a dead end with a big wind turbine at the end. Thus, the two of them are going down to check out where this side road leads. That overgrown road that they went to check out also didn't lead anywhere, so we have no choice but to drive back the way we came.
这个人都湿透了，不玩了。
出来了。
你玩吧。好，我加完油我就在这儿等你。加完95是在这儿加吗？
没有95，
没有95，有什么？
只有92。
只有92，好，那就搞个92吧。
是什么东西？这个
什么？
灯啊？
加多少？
对啊，
加多少，老板？
加满吧。
啊，你要
怎么
下车，
我知道，怎么没有95呢？
你以后在县城就加号，到镇上是没有95、98的。
这车都跑到哪里去？
我们跑那个万石山。
号汽油加
哎呦，
油机数
现在这
码已回零。
么黑了，到时候你们找路都会找不到回来。
没有，现在我们回家。
哦，你们去了回家。
对，我们现在回韶关。
你们上那里 没下雨吗？
下了一天的雨。
这个是什么？摄像头啊？
对啊。
Now we begin our 100+ kilometer journey back to Shaoguan. Anyways, if you made it this far in the video, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it and learned something, and see you in the next one.